My name is Ryan. Today I'm going to teach you how to play Battle Pong Royale. Battle Pong Royale is a strategic twist on a classic drinking game, beer pong, which we all know and love. Two teams take turns throwing ping pong balls in their opponent's cups. Every shot that you make, the opposing team drinks and removes that cup from play, and the game continues until one side has no cups. The cards included in this game are going to help augment your throws in many different hilarious and awesome ways. So the first thing we're going to need to know is how to set up the game, starting with the rack. Each team is going to have a set of 10 cups on each side. These are going to be set up just like you would in billiards. We're going to have a 4, 3, 2, 1 triangle pointing right into the middle of the table. Optional, but a good idea. Have an 11th cup for each side. You're going to want to fill that with water. When your opponents miss their shots due to your godlike level of intimidation, you're going to want to rinse those balls. No one likes dirty, hairy balls. Make sure your racks are tight. Everyone likes a tight rack, so make sure those rims are touching. If you're playing with one person on each side for a 2-player game, you're going to get rid of this back row and just have 6 cups for each side. Next, we need to fill our cups with beer. How much beer do you add to each side? Depends on the amount of players you have. If you have 1 player on each side, 1 beer for each side. It's that simple. Just spread it out so you can get it as close to even as you can. Tighten this back up. Now we decide who goes first. There's a few different ways. You can either do rock, paper, scissors, flip a coin, or what we're gonna do, the stare. You're gonna pick one person from each side, they're both gonna lock eyes and throw at the same time. The first team to be the only one to make their throw gets to go first. Now that we've decided who goes first, we're gonna need to deal out some cards to each player. Make sure you shuffle them real good. Once they are, set them in the middle of the table, and then each player draws 3 cards. If you're playing with 6 players or more, each person will draw 2 cards. Let's talk about what to do on your turn. Each player on your team gets to throw. There are a few rules when you do throw. 1, your elbow cannot pass the edge of the table. 2, if you bounce the ball off the table and it lands in the cup, it counts as 2 cups. Anytime an extra cup is removed from play during this game, the defending team gets to choose which of their cups to remove. And rule 3, if you do bounce the ball, whether it be off the table or it bounces off the rim of any other cup, the defending team can swipe it away. Playing cards. Your team can play 2 cards on its turn. These can come from one person or they can be divided amongst your teammates. Cards can be played before anyone has thrown, somewhere in between, or they can be played after everyone else has thrown. When you play a card, put it in the center of the table, its effect is immediately applied. For instance, this one, extra ball this turn, so I can throw twice, and once its effect is applied, it goes into the discard pile. Whenever someone makes their shot, that cup is immediately pulled from play and drank by the opposing team. For every cup removed from play due to one of your throws, you get to draw that many cards once your team's turn is over. You cannot throw the ball if you still have a cup that you're supposed to be drinking. This is a drinking game after all. There are 3 different types of cards in the game. Cards with a red border can only be used by and for the person playing it on their own turn. Cards with a white border can be used by the person playing it on their own turn, either for themselves or for a teammate. Cards with a black border are the only cards that can be used on either team's turn. To know when to use it, simply read the card. Counter. The counter will cancel the single effect of any card in play and can be used on either team's turn as indicated by the black border. The counter card, however, does not count against the 2-card maximum that your team can play on its turn. You can counter counters back and forth as many times as you like until the deck runs out. There are 2 more ways to get cards in this game other than what we've previously discussed. First one is called concentrating. Say you don't like your hand and you have more than 1 card. You can discard all the cards in your hand to draw 1 fewer. Oh, these are pretty good. It's important to note that doing this counts as playing 1 card for your team. The other way to draw cards is called charging. If at the beginning of your turn you have no cards and you haven't thrown, you can forfeit your throw to draw 2 cards at the end of your team's turn. The re-rack. Each team gets 1 re-rack per game. You can use this at any time before anyone on your team has thrown. If at any time you don't like the look of your opponent's cups and it's getting a little too hard to make, you can tell them to re-rack it in whatever shape you see fit. There are 2 conditions. The first one is 1 cup must be at the back end of the table. The second rule is that a constant line must be able to be traced through the cups. So anything like this counts as long as all the cups are touching in one way or another, or something more traditional like this. So your opponents have made your last cup. Before the game ends, you have a chance to stay in the game. Each player on their team will still get a shot to make your last cup, and you're going to count how many of them make it in. If you're playing a team of 3 and only 2 of them made it in, now 2 people on your team will have to make it into any of their cups to stay in the game. If you can't cover the debt against you, you lose. The game is over. Finish all your opponent's drinks. And that is how you play Battle Pong Royale. If you have any questions, leave a message on the Facebook page, I'll get right back to you. And if you haven't picked up yours yet, head on over to the website, battlepongroyale.com, and I'll see you at the table. Stay frothy.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So now you're down to your last cup. Yeah, I couldn't even better with it.
It's good, like you were at it. So stay with it.